Sup tubers? So, one, red face, hot flash. Not fun. So sorry about that. Two, you can tell this week's video is going to be a little different than usual because I am holding my camera up and I'll be bouncing it back and forth from hand to hand because it's tiring to hold your camera up. This week's video is different because it's going to tie in with the blog post I'm doing as well. And it's not a review on anything, it's not a favorites video or a tag, it's for you writers out there. And the concept for this week is creating and writing original characters. I know what you're all thinking, how difficult can it be to create a character and just throw them into a world? Trust me, it can get complicated. Not all of them are complicated. I've got a couple of characters who I literally just had to create a rough background story, give them a name, and then done. But I do have some characters that are extremely complicated. So my first tip is always make sure, no matter how unique or different your character is, always make sure they fit into the universe. Perfect example of that is my Mortal Instruments character, Shadowhunter Universe character, whatever you want to call her, Taryn. She is a half-breed, a true half-breed. She is like Will and Tessa's kids. She is half warlock, half Shadowhunter, but she has talents, traits and abilities from both parents. She has magic and she has Shadowhunter abilities. Now, it might sound like it doesn't fit, but I do enough research to always make sure that what I'm doing can work within the universe. That is definitely one thing I would recommend doing. Always do your research on the universe you're doing if you're going to create an original character. Because the last thing you want to do is go into an AU that could never exist no matter what you're doing. You will find some worlds where you have more freedom to do things, where you've got such a wide variety of characters that you can create pretty much anything you want. Middle Earth would be a good example of that. You can pretty much create anything you want there because you've got an entire spectrum of characters already created that you can warp and twist and play with. But then you have universes where you have to be specific and you can't play around with it too much. Like any universes where, you know, it's strictly humans and there's really no magic fact to it, you definitely don't want to suddenly thrust a magic-wielding character in there. Not a good plan. And then you have the middle ground worlds where maybe you have to stretch your imagination a little bit to see how the character would work in there, but at the end of it, it does work. So like I said, always research and always make sure your character can be tied back to something in the universe that proves they can fit there. Second piece of advice, do not force your character into a situation. Do not force their presence into the universe. Make sure they fit. Don't put them in a conversation and have them repeating every single line somebody else is supposed to say, leaving that person standing there mute. Have them have their own comments, have them have their own place. Because I've had characters where I've had to stop writing because I've just had them completely take over someone's place, or I've just put them in there in such a way where it doesn't feel, the flow of the scene just is too stuttery. And that is the last thing you want because that is a terrible read. Trust me. When a conversation doesn't flow because you've gone and stuck your own original character in there, you can tell. You can tell because it is very difficult to get through the scene. So you always want to make sure that they blend in like they're always supposed to be there. My Teen Wolf character, Effie, I have had to stop scenes where I have her taking over. She's Styles' sister. So I've had to stop and rewrite scenes where I've had her completely take over Styles' part because they're so similar that way. It's so easy for her to do that. But I don't want to do that because his role is so important, but I want hers to be important too, but not in the same way that his is. She's got her own reasons for being there. He's got his own reasons for being there, that you need to see the difference between your character and the characters that are already there. For something like that, you want to like study around you, like groups of friends, people talking, see how a new person coming into it interacts, how they become part of the flow. And it does help a great deal with learning how to put a character into a conversation that is already there. And it especially makes it easy if, like, when you're watching it or reading it, you can think of other comments that could have worked well in the conversation, because then you can just have your character saying those comments. Don't go over the top with your characters. Do not go over the top. Don't make them suddenly more important than the main character. You're not there to make a new main character. The main character is already there. Don't make a new one. You don't want them being more important than the storyline is already written. You can have your own storyline branching off from it, but do not overshadow the storyline that's already been written, because then you're just asking for trouble. You're turning the original author's work into something less than what it actually is supposed to be. And there's nothing more disrespectful to a writer than degrading their work and saying, you know, writing like, you know, it doesn't matter, you need to do, your thing is better, whatever. Never do that. Even with my Harry Potter character, who is Harry's little sister and goes through so much crap of her own, in the end, it's Harry's story. The end goal is defeating Voldemort, Harry going on this journey to figure out what he needs to do. Heidi's just along for the ride doing what she can, having her own problems and everything, but it is still Harry's story. You never want to overshadow the main character storyline. Never. Because it just doesn't work. It just really doesn't work. So those are my 3 writing tips when it comes to creating and writing your own original character. I hope these help you guys. If you want more in-detail descriptions for these, explanations and everything, and maybe even a few more tips, head on over to my blog. I will leave the link for it down in the description below, along with all my social media pages. Give the video a huge thumbs up if you liked it, please. My writing means so much to me, and I would love if you guys could comment and let me know what you think. Even give me some of your own advice on original characters if you have it. But until then, that is all for this week, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!